What's up, everybody? Welcome to Mobility and Fall Prevention. This week is Respiratory Week at the Cypress, so we're going to incorporate a little more breath practice in today. We've hit it a good amount, but we're going to take a deeper dive into our alternate nostril breathing at the end, and we're also going to incorporate that breath with some movements. So after our warm-up, we're going to hit some MoonFlowers and SunFlowers, which I really like because it helps us get in touch with that breath a little bit more. So let's start off. We want to make sure we have one weight today, our water, and if we have a resistance band, we can always use that. We're going to do that with our side steps or zigzags and something more. So let's get that party started. We're going to get the opposite elbow to that knee in 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Right elbow to that left knee. Hopefully, whatever day we're watching this, it's been good so far, and it's only going to get better after getting all this blood flowing. Exercise is so good for our physical and also our mental health. And that breath, as we're going to talk about, is so important. Our lung capacity, VO2 max, our ability to utilize oxygen. It's so important. We have 17 more seconds. Last 5. And time. Good job. Now, we're going to use our chair as we work on our twist. So we have our hands on the chair, nice and tall. We're stepping back with one leg. The front knee is bent. Leg that goes back, back hand is grounded as we rotate to the side, opening up and returning to standing. Let's keep it going. This really helps us keep that thoracic spine mobile. It starts to get blood in that knee joint, nice and gently, as opposed to going forwards in the lunge. A reverse lunge, a little more hip dominant. We're going to be practicing that with our MoonFlowers and our SunFlowers. We want to almost always move more with our hips as opposed to our knees first. Keep it up, 15 seconds. Last 4. Feeling that stretch. Excellent. Good job. So now we're going to use our band if we have it. We can put that on seated or standing, getting that at our ankles. And we're going to get on up. We can scoot to one side. Let's start off with our side steps first. So we're nice and tall, keeping that chest lifted, that head up. And our hips are back. And we're going down to the side. Notice how I'm not bringing my feet all the way together. This is allowing me to keep tension on this band to work my glutes and my abductors a little bit more. Then we're trying to sink low. The lower those hips are, the more we're going to be working. We always do have that option. If we don't have access to that, just do it standing. That's okay too. We'll still work it. About 20 seconds left. I have my arms here just to help counterbalance those hips being back. Almost through. And time. Good stuff. Now, keeping that band, we're going to do our side steps, or we just did our side steps. We're going to do our zigzags. So we have our hips back, and then we're going to go in and out at 45 degrees. So I'll do a set going forward, and that same premise Hips are back, and we're keeping tension on that band. So I'll show you going forwards now. So it's just like this. Good. Keep it going, forwards and backwards. Feeling that burn. Waking up those glutes and hips, some great stabilizers. And back. Oh yeah, good morning. Nice. Great job. So let's get in our balance check, our tree pose. We're grounded with the leg closest to the chair and holding on. And we can have that foot on the ground, that heel at our ankle, maybe at our calf. And as we've grown more comfortable with this over the past few months, if we have access to getting our foot above our knee while still keeping our hips pointing straight ahead, that's something we can do. We can always keep it a little bit lower. We can have our hands in our heart center, or just one, as we hold on to the chair. We can also lift our arms up to the sky. Think about that grounded foot pressing down into the floor, our big toe firing. A few more seconds left. 10 to go. And we made it. Nice. Let's do the other side now. So that same premise. The leg grounded is the side closest to the chair that we can hold on to, finding where we want to be. And let's start. If you fall out of it, just like I did, we can ease back in. Again, pressing into that ground. And when it comes to exercise, especially strength training and balance training, stability, we want to think about the force that we're applying into the ground. So if we're working on getting up out of our chair or lowering down into our chair, how are our roots, how are our feet into the floor? Are we just going through the motion, or are we actively working some Newtonian physics? For every reaction, there's an equal and opposite reaction. So generating force, that's what it's all about. And we made it. Good job. Let's get some water. And then we're going to get in touch with our breath a little bit more with our moonflowers and then our sunflowers. So the key to our moonflowers is we have our feet decently wide. They're wider than shoulder width. I have my toes pointing out at a 45-degree angle. I'm going to start off with my arms up. And I have this chair behind me because it's a reminder my hips are going back. So I'll show you first from the side. We're nice and tall, and we're taking an inhale on the way down, exhaling up. Inhaling, lowering, exhaling up. Using that breath. Let's keep it up. So while we're doing this, again, inhaling on the way down, exhaling on the way up. I want us to squeeze our shoulder blades down and back as tight as we can. And our fingers are active too, big starfish hands. We want to get a handprint that our preschool self would be proud of. As big as we can make it. Good, so we're inhaling on the way down for this round, exhaling on the way up. Try to hear that breath when it's so deep. Almost through. And we made it. Nice. So now we're going to work on our sunflowers, which is very similar to what we just did. The only difference is I'm tracing a circle, the sun, as we descend and elevate. So we're going to do the same breath pattern, inhaling on the way down, exhaling on the way up. On the second step, we're going to reverse it. And we're going to see that when we move with the breath, if we're not using weights, it doesn't truly matter. So we're inhaling, coming down, exhaling up. Let me start that timer. Inhaling, coming down, exhaling up. Continuing. And we don't have to have that chair. If we have access to a little bit lower, we can. Inhaling down, exhaling up. Use that breath to energize ourselves. That's what these first two are really all about. We're oxygenating the body. Think about deep, deep, deep inhales and exhaling out that CO2 that we're generating as we're moving. Almost through. Last one. Good job. So now, if we have a band, let's use it again. We're going to work a little bit of weight bearing on one leg with a little bit of hip strengthening on the other. Now we don't have to have this band, but we can get a little bit more out of that hip if we do use something like this. So it doesn't have to be a circular band. If we have those longer bands, we step on it, bring our hands up to it, maybe holding on to your chair, we can easily use that as well. So we're nice and tall. Let's start with our left hand and our left leg grounded. And we're going to keep our hips pointing straight ahead and our toes. So 3, 2, 1. So I'm going slightly out to the side. Now if we have a resistance band, we have a range of motion that we can't go past. It's just limiting it there. And we want to treat it just as if we didn't have a resistance band. So taking it off for a second, I'm doing more or less that same range of motion. A lot of us have access to, let's throw up those hips, those legs, but we want to keep everything squared and neutral. We're not going any wider than about 45 degrees. So keep it up, get my band back on. And bands have different resistances. This one's an extra heavy one. So I'm feeling this one pretty good. We have 5 more seconds. And then nice and tall, hips staying level. Nice. We're going to switch to the other side now. So we'll have our right leg grounded and right hand for balance if we need it. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. So out to the side. And noticing if one side is a little tougher or a little easier than the other. Sometimes that can be from weight bearing on that leg. Sometimes it can be when we go out to the side and that abduction of the hip. But remember, we're trying to stay tall, working our hip and our glutes. Doing great. We have 18 seconds to go. Almost through. 5 seconds. Oh yeah, I'm enjoying that burn. And we're finished with that. Good stuff. So next up, we're going to work on an isometric, where we're going to do a goblet squat. And if we have weight, we're welcome to hold on to it. And I'm talking heavier weight. But I'm going to do it with the chair today. And we're working on a little bit of mobility and some, like I mentioned, some isometrics where we're pushing into an immovable surface. That's the ground this time, where we can get down as low as we can and work on staying there as long as we can. Now, if that's a little too much, then spend about 5 seconds down and then coming up. That'll help us improve our strength as well. So we want our feet about shoulder width apart here, whatever allows us to get into a comfortable squat. Each person has a different squat width. So for me, that's about here, and I'm dropping down low. So I'm gonna hold on to the chair from the side, and let's hang out here. So if we need to, that was 5 seconds, we can come back up. And then we'll lower back down. Now, if we are good staying low, then let's work this pose. We can rock from side to side, mobilizing our hips a little bit more, our ankles. Do our best to keep that chest lifted. If we see my back, it's in a straight line at an angle. That low back, that mid back. I'm trying to keep our head lifted, keep our spine in line with everything else. We have 12 more seconds. We can always come up whenever we need to. Almost through. Enjoying the stretch. And coming on up. Fantastic. Awesome. So let's get a sip of water. We're going to go into our upper body next. We're going to start off with some shoulder taps or a plank, whichever we feel most comfortable with. And as a lot of you know, I'm a big fan of these, and we want to make sure we're elevating our hands. That decreases the lever length, and it gives us that ability to do it on the wall, on the kitchen counter, maybe the couch, or a stable chair, or the floor. And that's where I'm going to do it today. We want to focus on keeping our pelvis as stationary as we can. That's going to work our trunk stability a lot more. So let's get into that position. And I suggest, especially if our hands are lower, get the feet wider. A much wider base gives us more surface area, more stability. So here we go. Hands are underneath our shoulders, and we're going to work on slowly bringing that hand to the opposite shoulder. We're working on very little sway from side to side. I mentioned before, it's about generating force. I'm pressing into the ground with my hand, with my feet, working on that stabilization. Working on slow and relax with good technique is what it's all about. Almost through. And time. Great job, everyone. Nicely done. So, we're going to work up to our bent over row with our weight. And we have two options here. The first one is doing this in a split stance, where we're in a slight lunge. We have our torso hinged forward. Now that's option one, where we would bring that shoulder blade up, following through with the arm. Option two is if you love single leg deadlifts or warrior three, then we can use that where we're in that split stance initially, we're leaning forward, and then we're going to lift this back foot. Now this toe can be grounded, but notice how I have my right hand on the chair. So I'm working a little more hamstring, a little more knee stability, and glute. So I guess there's three options. One, just a split stance. Option two is your toe grounded, not the whole foot. Option three is it's all lifted. I'll do all three in the course of today. Getting ready? 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Shoulder blade up, following through with our arm, slowly lowering down. Nice and strong here. We're inhaling as we lower. We're exhaling up as we fight gravity. Stay with it. We have 26 more seconds. Doing great. Put in that effort, you'll see the results. Almost done. Nice. And we're going to switch sides now. So, on this side, I'm going to demonstrate that in between of just having a little extra weight in my toe. So we're going to be in a split stance, inhaling, bring a little more torso forward, and then my toes grounded, just for some extra balance. My hand can be at the top of the chair or the seat. Here we go. So this allows me to get a little more work in the hamstring, knee stability, a little glute action as well, but I still have 3 points of contact. So again, thinking about shoulder blade first, following through with our arm. When we do our shoulder blade first, we're just ensuring that our scapula has that range of motion. That's our shoulder blade. And it's crucial to maintain, this is known as retraction, where we're going backwards. But it's a 3D structure. It can go up and down, in and out. Very important to have that mobility in our shoulder blades. Almost through. And we made it. Good job. So, last piece of our upper body, we're going to do some push-ups. So heading back to our counter, back to our wall, wherever it is that we love to do our push-ups. You'll thank me. All right. So when we do our push-ups, remember, our hands are in line with our shoulders, and our elbows go no wider than 45 degrees. That helps keep the shoulder protected from impingement. You work more of the pectorals, more of those tricep muscles. Nice and strong. Let's do it. 3, 2, 1. So same premise here. Wide base, and I'm working my trunk stability too. I'm not dropping my hips. They're not too high in the air either. I'm in a nice straight line from my shoulders to my hips to my ankles. Same thing if I'm elevated with my hands. Inhaling, lowering, exhaling, pushing away. Again, let's generate that force. Chuck Norris does push-ups by pushing the earth away. Let's harness our inner Chuck Norris. Keep it up. Almost through. Use that breath to your advantage. And we're done. Nice. Let's get a sip of water, and then we're gonna repeat. So we'll get back in touch with our breath and our lower body with our MoonFlowers and SunFlowers. All right. So we're going to do reverse breath on the MoonFlowers and SunFlowers this time. And the reason is, it doesn't truly matter with this. When it comes to some yoga movements and poses, I'm a big fan of inhaling the arms up. There's just something so blissful about about that. And so think back to what our Moonflowers and Sunflowers felt on that first set, and then maybe compare it here. And don't feel like you have to be attached to any particular one. It can always change. And I bet you it changes a lot, because when I was doing it, sometimes you forget about the breath and it changes. That's all right. Everything changes. It's the only constant. Let's bring our arms up to the sky. This time we are exhaling down. So taking a big inhale tall, exhaling, inhaling back up, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling down. Nice. Keep it going. It can be all in and out through the nose, or we can inhale through the nose and exhale through the mouth, whichever we're feeling today. Again, inhaling up, exhaling down. Squeeze those shoulder blades, bring those elbows towards the floor. Nice, almost through. Inhaling up, exhaling down. And we're done with that one. Awesome. Shake it out a little bit. Now, our sunflowers. So the same premise. We're exhaling down, inhaling up. Getting ready. So, taking an inhale up top, exhaling down, inhaling up, exhaling it down. Let's get more vigorous. Inhaling slow. Exhale, release. Inhaling slow up. Big breath. Exhale it off. Inhaling tall. Exhale and release. Feeling energized with that breath. Breath is life. Exhaling it down. Inhaling up. Exhale and releasing. Inhaling tall. Exhale it out. Inhaling up. Exhale. Just drop it on down. Nice. Good stuff. Now if that doesn't energize you, I don't know what does. I feel like I'm ready to go run a marathon. I'll probably regret it, but I feel that energy. So let's get our band. We can sit down if we have it. Easier to put on. Then we're going to work that standing abduction. So if we're ever feeling a little blue, it's a rainy day, the day I'm filming this, and if we can harness that gumption to do a few rounds of some moonflowers and some sunflowers, it'll definitely change the way we're feeling. We have that power to change the way we feel by using our body, by expressing as opposed to that depressing. It definitely helps to move and open up that body if we're feeling low. Trust me, I've been there. So, having that left leg grounded, left hand to the chair if we need it. 3, 2, 1. Keeping our hips and toes pointing straight ahead. Working it here. Nice. Stay with it. You can do like I am, where I'm not holding on. That's a good challenge. Or keeping that extra balance to really work this to our ability level right now. Just focus, especially if we don't have a band, keep it small. We're not trying to open up. We're not doing a side kick or anything like that. We are working, and trust me, side kicks feel good, but we're working on some range of motion and strengthening that range of motion. Awesome. Good job. Let's wobble to the other side. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. Get nice and tall. And sometimes it takes a second to readjust. Stick with it. Doing great. You have 25 seconds. Almost through. 12 to go. Feeling those muscles working. You're doing great. You're building resilience, strength. You're capable of so much. And we did it. Awesome. Getting rid of that band. And then getting ready for our most favorite part, that isometric goblet squat. Love it. And over time, we want to work on holding this longer. So if you're able to last the whole 55 seconds here, fantastic job. And working towards 5, 10, 15, 20 seconds, we're not yet there. This is a challenging exercise when most of us are in a shorter range of motion just from sitting on a chair after 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 80 years of that sort of thing. We need to mobilize our joints and soft tissue around those joints. So getting ready, 3, 2, 1. We're working on dropping as low as we can. So if you have grandchildren or kids in your life, keep them on the floor, keep them on a low stool or a yoga block. At school, they have obviously desks. They're at traditional 90-degree height for those hips. But optimal hip flexion is 120. Everyone should still be able to do that. It is just about being human. But in our modern lives, we have sacrificed convenience and cushion for less health. And it's easy to change that. And good, coming back up. It's harder to reverse it, but it's easier if we help prevent it. Prevention is the #1 tool for public health. A lot harder to fix something than it is to prevent something. So, get a sip of water, and then moving on to our upper body one more time. So we're going to get into our shoulder tap. So let's find our place over on the wall, the kitchen counter, our chair, wherever it might be. And remember, if we get tired towards the end of this, we can just hold the plank. We don't have to worry about our shoulder taps here. So, getting into that position, here we go in 3, 2, 1. Let's do it. So, working on slowly bringing that hand up. Remember, the wider our base, wider those legs are, easier it is. And if we want to think about the breath here, we can exhale as we bring our hands, inhaling, recovering in the plank, exhaling as we bring that hand up. So it's challenging to stabilize against gravity and press into that floor. But we can do challenging things. We're totally good at that. Almost through. And we made it. Great job. So we'll have our row next. Remember, we have the option of that split stance, hinge, we have that other option of having our toe grounded just to keep 3 points of contact. And then we have that third and final option of staying up in a warrior 3 position where we can have just a foot or 2 points of contact. So I'm going to demonstrate the 2 points of contact here. Getting into that position, here we go. So we're lifting that shoulder blade, following through with the arm. Notice how there's a straight line from my elevated leg through my head. That's what we're looking for. And if you fall down, if you're gloating about your position like I just was, then it's okay to come down. Balance is tough. If we lose that focus, we need to adjust. Again, shoulder blade first, following through with that arm. When we do this, we work our serratus muscles as well, which is a neglected part of our shoulder, back, and chest complex. Great job. So we're going to switch sides now. Excellent. So, whichever side you didn't do, I had my right leg grounded, weight in the left hand last time. This time, weight in the right, my left leg is grounded. Getting ready. 3, 2, 1. Here we go. Staying strong, balanced, and stabilized. Again, you have a hand up top or down at the seat of the chair. Working that stability. Staying within ourselves. We're just pushing our edge over so slightly. And over time, that comfort zone has grown. We don't want to go so far out of our comfort zone that we hurt ourselves, or we have to take a few steps back before we can move forward again. So it's that slow, incremental process. Consistency and sustainability and time. Good job. We're going to go into our push-ups next. So we'll find that counter, that wall, that couch, that chair, that floor. Remember, protect those shoulders, hands in line, elbows no wider. And it's tough when they're that narrow. So that's why we elevate, we make it more accessible. So getting into position, I'll do it this view, the second set. Here we go. Inhaling, lowering down, exhaling, pressing up. Inhaling back down, exhaling up. Stick with it. Almost through. Pace yourselves. Inhaling down, slow and controlled. Exhaling up strong. Inhaling down, slow and controlled. Exhaling up strong. Almost through. And we made it. Great job. So let's get a sip of water. And then we're going to have a seat on our chair. And we're going to work on a little alternate nostril breathing. So we've done this one before. And I like this one because there's a lot of variability to it. It allows us to be a sculptor. We can shape our intention into whatever it is we would like to do. So with like the deep diaphragmatic breathing, just kind of normal deep breaths, that has a more calming effect. There are other breaths that we don't really do in this class because it can be a little too energizing. A lot of people have high blood pressure, and that can ratchet it up a little bit. So we tend to avoid that unless we know the individual. And then alternate nostril breathing has both a calming effect and a warming effect. It's not so warming where it gets us into that point of the Kabali breath that what I was just talking about, but it's enough to energize us. I talked about we have that ability to express or depress based on our movement, and our breath is a big component of that. We can do that here. If we need to chill out a little bit, we can cover just the right nostril. If we need to liven up a bit, we can cover the left nostril. So let's practice first slowing it down a little bit. So we can place our index and our middle finger between our eyebrows. We're just going to cover that right nostril. We can close our eyes. We're inhaling in and out. I'm working on that deeper breath as well. So throughout the day, our nostrils change which one is dominant. It's about every 90 minutes that it changes. So you might find that it might be a little tougher to breathe through that left nostril right now. Remember, we have our right nostril closed. We're just slowing things down. After all that movement, that heart rate, that breath rate are higher, which is good. We want that. We need that. We're working on bringing it down just to kickstart that recovery. And the sign of being in shape isn't how high that heart rate gets, but it's how fast can we recover? How fast can we lower it down from being elevated? And this is a good tool to help us with that. If we have dogs in our lives, we see they are so good at relaxing, and then when they're moving, they're generally energetic. So it's a mix of having that energy, that excitement, and then easing it back down into relaxing. So while we're breathing here, let's think about one of our favorite animals maybe we currently have in our life or once with us. Just the joy we felt with them. Maybe they were having some zoomies, as I like to call it, running around all crazy, and then totally passed out the rest of the day. We're harnessing that relaxation here. Good stuff. Let's slowly lower that hand down. Now, we're going to work on both. We're towards the end of our class, so we're not going to only breathe through the left. I'm going to give that to you for some homework later. So if you're feeling a little sluggish in the morning, you want to energize a little bit more prior to some MoonFlowers, some SunFlowers, or general movement, you can give that a go. We're going to alternate this time. And the way it works is just like before. We'll have our index and our middle finger between our brows. And we inhale through a new nostril. You're going to exhale all the way out. Then you're going to switch sides. I'll walk us through it. So let's start with that right nostril closed. do in and out a few times again. So I'm inhaling in all the way. I'm going to close the left nostril, exhaling out that right now. Exhale everything out. We're inhaling through the right. A little tougher to breathe through that right nostril after we've closed it. Closing the right, exhaling through the left. Getting it all out. Inhaling through it. As much as we can, closing the left, exhaling out through the right. Inhaling. Closing that right. Exhaling through the left. So this can be long and slow or a little more forceful. Let's inhale through the left. Closing that left. Exhaling through the right. So we can work again on these longer, slower breaths. We're keeping about even here. Inhaling through the right. Closing, exhaling through the left. We're going to do a few more at our own pace here. Inhaling. Closing that nostril, exhaling through the right. So remember, we always exhale through a new nostril. We're inhaling on that same side. Closing and exhaling through the left. Keeping it here. Not going to cue for a little bit. Practicing on your own. Finishing that last cycle and relaxing your arms down. You can shake it out. Let's stretch a little bit here. Bring our shoulders up and back. Reversing, going forwards now. Nice. Now we're going to alternate going backwards and alternate going forwards. Good stuff. Bringing our feet a little bit wider. Inhaling nice and tall. Walking our hands from our thighs towards our shins and our calves. A little bit lower, so keeping that head lifted, stretching that back. Breathing in and out. Maybe we can walk our hands to the floor. Maybe if we don't have any vertigo or dizzy issues, we can drop our head as well. Let's work our way up. Bring our hands to our ankles, our shins and our calves, and then back up to our thighs. And all the way back to our chair. Inhaling, lifting up nice and tall. Exhaling, turning to one side. Inhaling back up. Exhaling to the other. Inhaling one last time, nice and tall. Hands together to our forehead for good thoughts, to our mouth, good words, and to our heart, good intentions. you all for joining me today. Feel free to stay here as long as you want. Nice, deep, long Savasana. Our most important pose helping us recover. Light in me, recognize the light in you. Namaste. Remember to keep breathing.